The United team didn't turn up, period. There were fans who were saying, finally, at least we won the second half. That is not a moral victory. Hello and welcome back to the Ballin sisters, and we are back again, and today we are discussing about our game week number 9. Yes, it was Derby day, Derby weekend. How should I put it across? Haaland Foden weekend? That is what it was. There were plenty of games which happened over the weekend. We still have one game to go, which is late night Monday for all our India fans. But then let's come on to the games which have already happened. And let's start off. The first game in line was between Arsenal versus Tottenham Hotspurs, the Derby day. The North London Derby kicked off. It was from the get-go, it was Arsenal who was pressing, and they did their bit as expected. Even though the expectation level was that they are going to be out there, it's going to be an even Stevens game. But unfortunately, Arsenal came out. Spurs didn't perform. Arsenal came out on top. Martinelli was on point. Odegaard was on point. Jesus was on point. Saliba did a brilliant job. So overall, it was a brilliant team performance for Arsenal. And whereas for Spurs, they floundered and flustered, even though going. They were at level terms with Arsenal for a short period of time, but then after that it was just Arsenal from the get-go. In the first half as well, majority of the time Arsenal was out there. They were playing their game, and they made Spurs play Arsenal way rather than Spurs playing the Antonio Conte way, and that is what I feel was the difference in the game. So that is where I feel that Arsenal are still at the top of the table. Spurs are slipping on to the third position. But will that continue or not continue is the question to be asked, and how will they perform. But still, the expectations from the football fraternity is that Arsenal will screw up in the coming days. We all know what Arsenal are. So there is the World Cup coming. There is a lot of players non-performing. So you don't know what will happen, what will not happen. So still, at the end of the day, it is a long way to go and a long time. It has just been 9 game weeks. Arsenal still at the top of the table. So let's see what happens. Moving on to the second game between Liverpool and Brighton. Expectations were very high that Liverpool will win this game after Brighton losing Graham Potter and they getting in a new manager. But the performance didn't slip. Trossard was the man of the match. Defense for Liverpool, again, a big problem. They have been leaky. There has been no fray as such for them. So there are a lot of mismatches which is happening with Liverpool, which I didn't expect them to be there. Van Dijk, again, the weakest link. I found him to be the weakest link. The midfield is not performing. Front three, there is no gelling. I think so. It was Bobby Firmino's brace and one own goal which saved the grace, and I feel that Brighton should have won the game. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. Brighton did manage to draw, and Liverpool hold on to their horses and just take a point of that, pushing Liverpool onto the 9th or the 10th position in the league, and Brighton sitting very tight on the 4th position. They are still playing the game which is exciting, enticing, and the philosophy which Graham Potter has built around the club. So we have to see what does it put across in the coming days. That is something which is very, very important for everybody to have a look at. And I feel that Liverpool really needs to turn the tide now, because if they don't do, they are going to be struggling, and the 7th season syndrome is coming into play very, very heavily. The way Liverpool was expected to perform, they are way below par, way below par. So Jurgen Klopp and the Liverpool team and the Liverpool fans who have been a part of it have to make it a point that Liverpool starts performing at the highest level, which I don't see that happening. The next game let's jump on to is Crystal Palace versus Chelsea, another London derby. The first 20 minutes, 10, 15, 20 odd minutes, it was Chelsea. Then it became Crystal Palace all over the place, and they managed to score the first goal in the first 10, 15 minutes. Then Chelsea came back. They scored the goal which was required before the half-time. There was a dubious decision, should Thiago Silva had been red carded. But if you look at it in the hindsight, I feel that he was. It would have been a very harsh decision of him letting go, because it was a foul in the build-up. But then that didn't. That was okay in terms of giving him a yellow card, and that was more than sufficient in my opinion. Even though a red card would have not been going down very well with Chelsea going into 10 men in the 27th, 30th minute, and Chelsea then he being about 5-7 minutes later. Helping them get that goal with an assist to Aubameyang, his first goal in the Premier League for Chelsea. And obviously then in the excuse me, in the 90th minute, Conor Gallagher, what a shot, what a beauty of a shot he had, and it just blew past everyone, and it took me by surprise while I was watching the game. What a goal he was, and that shows why has Chelsea retained him and why have they not let him go back into a loan system, and maybe going back to Brighton also. Crystal Palace, they were very much after him. Brighton was after him, and it shows why has that happened, and that is something which was really important to look at. So that is what, and it was Graham Potter's first Premier League game managing Chelsea. A lot of positives, but I feel Chelsea would be very lucky to finish in the top half of the table. But then I really don't know what will happen. How will Chelsea perform under Graham Potter? Right now, Chelsea seems to be a mid-table team, fighting for the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th position, not above that. I don't see them going beyond that, not challenging for the titles, not challenging for the cups. And it's going to be very lucky if they go into the knockout stages, maybe in the round of 16 or the quarterfinals for the Champions League, where they are still playing. So there's a lot to pay for Chelsea. The team is still missing that dynamic in the final third. That finishing is missing. Selflessness is there. So there is a lot of talking points for Graham Potter and his team and his management to take care of. Moving on from Crystal Palace versus Chelsea to the big one, the Manchester derby. It was Haaland and Foden day, to be very honest. Manchester United didn't turn up. It was all in all, it was just Haaland and Foden from the get-go. 7th minute, Foden scored. By the 20th minute, Haaland was not even in the fray, but then when he had his first shot with Varane not on the field, City took the second, then the third, and then came the fourth before half-time. After that, Manchester United did crawl back, getting a 4-1 lead, but then it was Haaland again, making it 5-1, and then Foden completing a double hat-trick for Manchester United, 2 hat-tricks in one game. Haaland scoring his first player in the Premier League to do so. A lot of positives for Manchester United. They are going to be there. They are there. They are ruthless. They are on point. The team is gelling like anything. It is as smooth as water. But for Manchester United, 4 wins on the bounce. No team chemistry. Centre backs are a loss of word. The holding midfielders not playing. Casemiro you bought for 50 million, not playing. Ronaldo was on the bench again. There's been a lot of discussions. I had a lot of discussions with my friends and family as well, who are United fans. And my only thing was, why was your defense sleeping? Why was Eriksen marking Haaland? Why is your defense? Where is your butcher from Netherlands who was praised for? Why was there no Ronaldo on the field? He has that aura. He has that presence. He has that everything. But then again, that didn't happen. So there is a lot of talking points for Manchester United to play for. I feel that United may finish in the top half, maybe in the top 4, but it is going to be a very topsy-turvy side. And playing a side like Manchester United, you have to be up there clinical. This is a clinicalness was missing. The United team didn't turn up, period. There were flaws all over. You had Rashford, Sancho, you had Anthony who had that grit and determination. But then at the end of the day, that doesn't serve you. There were fans who were saying, finally, at least we won the second half. That is not a moral victory. You beat the top of the team, top of the table team. Fine, you don't reckon Arsenal as top of the table right now. You beat them. Liverpool, fine, they are not in their form, but then on paper, United's defense is better than City's defense in terms of the centre back positions. You've got Cancelo, you had that new boy who was playing. Then you had on one side you had Varane, you had Martinez, who've been there out there. But then, what is the point of those things if you cannot bulldoze that front line? It was Bernardo Silva who was running the show. Nobody was able to stop him. If it was not Bernardo Silva, it was KDB. Nobody was out there to mark them. There was no man-to-man marking. There was zonal marking, which is good at certain positions. But then United doesn't. A friend of mine told me that United doesn't play zonal marking. That is not a way out. It is Manchester United you're talking about. 6-3. 3 goals also, the last 2 goals coming from in the 84th minute and the 98th minute from a substitute, Anthony Martial, scoring 5 goals against Manchester in the past 5 seasons. He should have been out there. Ronaldo should have been playing. Casemiro should have been playing, not Fred and McTominay, who was the Eriksen and McTominay, I think so they started off. Sancho was nowhere to be seen. Rashford was not doing anything. It was just a pure bulldozing of the midfield, bulldozing of the defense, bulldozing up front. It was it was mayhem. It was a bloodbath for Manchester United yesterday. They should learn from their mistakes. 4 on the bounce, it was not fluke. You won those games. No matter if it was 1-0 or 2-1, the games were won. You won against Arsenal, you won against Liverpool. So those games do weigh up. Erik ten Hag will take a little while to settle that team out, but he's playing the same 11. You will get out of those. But then right now, it is seeming very difficult for Manchester United and very difficult for Erik ten Hag to get this team cracking. You need time, take time. You're giving out splutters of performances, but those splutter of performances are not to be seen. Those are not to be excited upon. So there's a lot of takeaways for both teams and for the teams mentioned, especially Spurs, Chelsea, Manchester United, Liverpool especially. So there's a lot of mayhem, lot of things happening. And with that, today's match between Nottingham Forest as well as Leicester may mark the end for if Nottingham Forest win and Leicester City lose. It may be the end for Brendan Rodgers and his tenure as Leicester City. I've already mentioned that. You should find it over here. So there's a lot of changes which might happen in the coming weeks in the Premier League. A lot of speculations out there. So let's see what happens. And there's a lot of hope what happens in the Premier League. So I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching. Do like, share, subscribe, enable those notifications, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Adios.